Okay, so in the last video we left off right here, and the challenge now is to get these detailed helix objects to become part of the railing for the first floor staircase and the second floor staircase. So the bad news is that it's going to be a little bit more of a challenge to do that, and it's going to take a little bit more time and some more creative outside of the box thinking. The good news is once we get the bottom stairs done, because the bottom staircase and the top staircase are pretty much equal, they're the same, we're going to be able to take the work that we've already done and just basically clone it, align it over here on the top, and we should have the second staircase just knocked out for us in one shot. So let's work on the first staircase down here. Okay, so if I look at my railing here, I have 4 posts, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's do this. Let's take the helix object and let's take the railing right there and let's isolate the selection. Let's go to a front view. Now let's take the helix object here and let's kind of position it. You can see the helix object is a bit too big for this railing here. So let's do this. Let's place it over here so the left side of the helix is matching up with that left post. Let's select the railing. Let's go to the post spacing tool. Let's play around with this a little bit. And actually this looks like it's going to need just 3 posts, to be honest with you. It will actually fit probably better if we just do 3 posts. We really don't need 4. Okay, so again, 4 was just a tentative amount, but now I realize that I only need 3. So just 1 in the center. Okay, so if I look at 3, the middle post goes about right there. And if I turn it to 5, we still have a middle post, but then we have these posts here also in between the spaces. If you're probably already thinking about it, you probably realized I'm setting those up on purpose so that I can use them for alignment purposes, and yeah, that is exactly what I'm doing. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the railing here, I'm going to drop a modifier on it, just like before, the Edit Poly modifier. I'm going to go to element mode, select this guy right there, go to geometry and detach as a separate object. I'm going to select that post there, go to geometry, detach as a separate object, and there we go. Now let me take the railing itself and change the color just to make it easier to identify things here. So maybe I'll make it the salmon color. That's perfectly fine. And I'm going to take this guy here. Let's go to perspective view here just to get a better look at what's going on. Okay, so kind of an optical illusion there. It looked like the helix object was rotated differently to the railing. Just my eyes playing tricks on me. Okay, I'm going to take the helix object here and I'm going to go to align. And I'm going to select the first post. I'm going to have it aligned to the center, not the pivot point. Okay, so there it goes in the center, and I'll have it aligned to the Z position. It really doesn't make too much of a difference, and you'll see in a moment why that is. Okay, so there we go. It's aligned right in the middle there of the post. And if I go back to the front view, you can see what I have. Okay, now if I rotate this, it's not going to give me the slanted look that I need. All it's doing is rotating it, and the space is not rotated, it's distorted. It's basically skewed. Okay, so wouldn't it be great if we could do the same thing to our helix object here, somehow skew it in a way? Well, fortunately there's a tool for that in 3ds Max. We can do that. There's actually a few ways we can do that, and I'm going to show you just one of the many ways that we can get that done. I'm going to make sure my helix object is selected here, and the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to make I'll probably just make a clone of it, but you know what, okay, we'll leave a clone of it over there just in case we need it, but I'll come back to this one over here. And what I want to do is go to modifiers, and down here we have a few different modifiers. We have parametric deformers, which allow us to deform objects by skewing them, that I talked about earlier. We can also use ripple, relax, a bunch of different ways to deform objects. We also have freeform deformers, which you can see right here. And freeform deformers are also known as lattices in other 3D packages. Okay, and they come in a host of different configurations: 2x2x2, 3x3x3, 4x4x4. And let me show you what that means. If I select the 4x4x4, basically creates this lattice here, and if I hit 1 to go to vertex mode and I expand the modifier, I have control points, I have the lattice, I have a set volume. I'll go to control points. And if I take these control points, I can actually move them around and alter and skew my object, whatever the object is I'm deforming, in this case the helix, to whatever I like. Okay? But using 4x4x4 is basically creating 4 points this way, 4 points down this way, and if I go to perspective view, it's basically creating 4 points this way, which is not exactly what I want. So let me take that deformer and delete it. Let me go back to modifiers, freeform deformers, and let me get a 2x2x2. And that's going to be a little bit better, a lot simpler. I don't need that much detail. So let me go to the front view here. Let me go to control points, 1 in the keyboard to do that quickly and easily. And what I can do is take these points here and move them down. Move these up like so. Pretty much deform that however I need it to. Okay? So maybe I'll deform this here like this, and I'm not doing this too accurately, but that's okay. And maybe I'll take these points here and I can move them into the mesh like so. You can see this one got altered over here. I'm just going to play with it until I get something that I like. And that right there is actually not too bad. So let me go back to perspective view. And this is what I have. I have my, my shape there. Okay. Not too bad. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to collapse it. So the changes are now permanent. I'm going to take that post because I don't need it anymore. And I'm going to get rid of it. I'm not going to get rid of this one. I might need it, so I'm going to move it over to the side. I'm going to take this guy here. I'm going to clone him. And I'm going to use the align tool to align it to this post over here. I'm going to go with center, center, and center. And that should work well. I'll hit OK. And voila. Actually placed it. It's not exactly perfect, but it's pretty darn close. What I'll do is I'll just manually move it up just a little bit. Let me go to wireframe mode. And something like that looks pretty good. Okay. I'm going to say I'm happy with that. Not fiddle around with it too much. I'm going to take the middle post there and get rid of it since we don't need it anymore. Going to go back to this, and this railing, I don't think that I need to keep the railing anymore. It's pretty much finished, so I do need to convert it to an editable poly eventually, so I'm just going to collapse that so it becomes an editable poly. Now let's get out of isolation mode, and that's what we have. Okay, let me take the helix object that I had created before, that clone. I'm going to delete it because I don't need it anymore. Okay, so there we go. There's our slanted staircase right there. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this guy right here, and I'm going to link it to the railing here. But you know what? Let me do that in the next video. I'm going to end this one here, and in the next video we're going to take the work that we did here and we're going to reuse it for the second staircase up here and make our lives a little bit easier.